There is a space in my heart where I find the truth. I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. I see with new eyes, allow and unfold, embrace and let go, trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Breathe in and out, slowly feel all that's around you, all that you feel, all that you know. Let it go. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. Yeah, when we unite. Oh, we unite. Yeah, yeah, when we unite. Yeah, yeah, welcome here. Love is welcome here. Peace is welcome here. You are welcome here.
Different. There we go. You are welcome here. We are alive, and we are living in the moment, saying yes to life. That was John Stringer. You are welcome here, my dear brother. Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and good day to you wherever you are. Whether you're watching, listening through Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, or wherever you're listening to this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for saying yes to life. Thank you for tuning in. And when you tune in, you are transformed. I am Ade, your transformation agent, your beingness artist. Hello there, my dear sister. Nice to see you. Rev D is joining us today, so you know it's going to be another great show. This is Ade Presents BEing You, the journey back to yourself, season 2, episode 23. Today's Tuesday, October 6th, 2020. Selah. Nice to see you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. As I want to invite you, those of you who are listening on different platforms, because this show is shared on different platforms. So when you're replying or commenting, we won't see it unless you are on our platform, which is the Being You podcast Facebook page or on YouTube. And you can get to that by going to YouTube, look for the channel lifeconversationsmedia.com. Of course, if you're on Instagram, I can see you, definitely. But if you're on other platforms other than what I said, then we won't see you. So if you have a question and for more interactive conversation, go to the Being You podcast Facebook page. But so yeah, that's that. We are talking about power. But before we talk about power, rising up and showing up and reimagining, I want to invite you to take a moment to reflect on how you see yourself in the world, and how you see I always jump ahead of myself. How you see yourself, how you see the world, how you see yourself in the world, and how you see the world in you. That's a good place to start, because when you start there, thank you very much. Very much. Okay, what's going on? Thank you very much. When you start from there, you're actually starting from a place of centeredness. This conversation is about being you. You can tap into yourself and really just feel what's going on within you, what you are aligned with, what you're resisting, what you're embracing, what you're challenged with. You just might even find that, wow, I am really powerful. It's not based on what I'm doing. I just feel a sense of power. I feel a sense of groundedness. And in that place, you access your power. And for those of you who are listening on the podcast, which is a little bit behind, but I'm catching up slowly but surely, know that you can watch and listen to the show on Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. UK time. And as I said earlier, it's Being You podcast page, Facebook page, or on YouTube. Other than that, keep listening and doing what you do. And on Thursdays, I just want to let you know that I do host a show called Ade Presents The Heart of the Matter. Now, that show is dependent if I have a guest, somebody who wants to work through some stuff they're dealing with. They want to go deeper in consciousness. They need some clarity. That's every Thursday, assuming I have a guest, 11 p.m. Eastern. No, actually, 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. UK time. And there's a link that India will share that you can click, or you can just send me an email by going to adelove.co, not .com, .co. Or you can use the lifecoachade.com. Send me an email. Let me know you want to be on the hot seat of transformation. Yes, Kwali, nice to see you. And Sailor and everybody else that's listening in the background, silent listeners. I'm ready to jump into this conversation. Oh, I need to tell you about John Stringer. If you need to find out more about John Stringer, go to his website, John Stringer, string, like the guitar, johnstringerinc.com. johnstringerinc.com. You can find out more about his work and what he's doing. And now we're ready to jump in. I think that's everything. All right, let's just take a breath, because I feel and sense that we are going deeper. We always do anyway. And when you take the breath, it prepares your body, your cells, your atoms, your molecules to receive the truth that is being birthed. If you listen to Rev D, you're going to be transformed. And if there ever was a time to be different, if there ever was a time to surrender to transformation, this is it. So let me tell you a little bit about Rev D. Reverend Deborah L Johnson. She is a lifelong social justice activist with a passion for healing social, political, and cultural divides. She is the founder of Inner Light Ministries, board member of the Pachamama Alliance, and founding member with Michael Bernard Beckwith of the Agape International Spiritual Center in Los Angeles. She's the author of The Sacred Yes and Your Deepest Intent. There's some other books and music as well. If you go on YouTube, there's a song called Unity. Stay away from the video, okay? Because everybody's at a different level of consciousness. So when you do Reverend Deborah Johnson, do the and the song is Unity, go for the audio. The video, somebody took upon themselves. You might get distracted, okay? We want you to get the truth, Unity. To find out more about what she's doing, what she's creating, and she is creating and birthing as we speak. Her website address is Deborah L Johnson, Deborah with an H, L Johnson.org. You can find her on Facebook, same name, of course, on Twitter at Deborah_Reverend. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, psychics and skeptics, physical beings and non-physical beings, help me welcome my friend, my mentor, my sister, myself, Rev D.
Hey there, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited.
Good. Always glad to be with you.
Oh, same here. Oh, and I also want to tell the listeners that you have a podcast now, right? Is it live yet? Oh, we lost Rev D. She's frozen. Or is it me? Ah, there you are. You're back.
Okay.
Yes. Nobody needs to be calling you right now. We're busy. She's busy. So you have a new podcast, don't you?
Yes.
Is it live?
It's almost live.
Okay.
But yes, it's a new podcast that's going to be basically a repository of the many talks and shows and things that I do, which, obviously I do quite a lot of those. And you can get them all in one spot. These will be separate from the things that I do at Inner Light with the ministry. So if you want the sermons and all the rest of that, there'll be an Inner Light Ministries podcast. But these are the ones that I'm doing, which overwhelmingly have themes that are at the intersection of social justice and spirituality, things that are going on in race relations and diversity. That happens to be one of my specialties. And generally speaking, just good stuff from a lot of different perspectives.
Okay, so I want to ask you something, but I won't do that first. I just want to check in with you because I think it's good to kind of check in. How are you doing? How are you being? How are you feeling?
I'm good. It's like, given everything, I'm actually really good. Needless to say, here October 6th in 2020, these are some tough times, particularly in the United States, where I am. And I think I said on your show before, it's like all my plans have been shattered, but my dreams are coming true. The one thing I would say is that, and it's something that I've been talking about with a lot of my colleagues, there's so much going on. There's a weariness. And it's like everybody's tired, but Black folks are especially tired. And it's the first time in my life where that's been the subject. Just how tired we are. And that's concerning me.
Yeah.
Considering everything that's happening in our social political environment and the election that's coming up and how the far right is heating up, that is a concern to me, because the bandwidth for being gracious. Even calls that I've been on with some of my colleagues who are counterparts or, heads of big spiritual denominations, we're all saying the same thing, how hard we're having to work to not be nasty. That we find ourselves slipping sometimes and being much harsher or impatient or, whatever that is that is not really characteristic of us.
Yeah.
And if we're doing that, not that we're putting ourselves above everybody else, but if with all the practice that we do and the groundedness, if we're losing it that fast, it's a little barometer of just how lost it's getting.
Yes.
So, I do have to say that, just put that out there. And, the United States has been through a lot. We're like COVID heaven here. Even Trump has COVID. Surprise, surprise. But it's tense. And you can feel it. You can feel it in the air. And I'm spending a lot of time now, what I would call like building a MASH unit, like a spiritual medical MASH unit to help de-escalate things, to just be prepared, because none of us know what's coming. The election is less than 30 days away. And no matter what happens, people are taken to the streets.
Yeah.
The difference this time go round is that there's usually kind of like one side or the other that takes to the streets. But in this instance, I think everybody going to the streets.
Everybody. That's right.
It's the clash.
Yeah.
The potential clash that I have to admit is concerning me now. There's actually a campaign that my ministry is about to launch in the next few days called Visions Igniting, which is an invitation to get people to start talking about what they do want to see and not just what they don't want to see. And there's colleagues of mine working with me and hopefully that can go viral, and has a lot of different components with it. Vision Zoom groups where you can just have 60 seconds, talk about what your vision is, do selfies, put them on Instagram, but try to get that collective vibration up a little bit, because we've got to recalibrate to a higher frequency right now.
Yes, more than ever. I feel like really, I said this during the early stages of COVID-19 and then the protests, like this is showtime. But I tell you, I really do feel like we are on stage and there's this teleprompter that we don't even know what the script is. It's like we wake up every day and it's like you show up and you're given the words. It's like, this is what we're dealing with. And everything, particularly those of us on a spiritual path that are talking about oneness and love and understanding and compassion, empathy, this is the time to really live it for ourselves. I think that sometimes we think we need to be more empathic to people or more compassionate to. Yes, but we got to start here. Because if I have it here, it overflows. If I don't have it here, I'm trying to tell people what to do. Then I might just be mad at them for not being compassionate because I'm judging them. I'm not spending time to be more compassionate with myself and understand that this is a process.
Yes.
This is really interesting times. I don't think we've ever experienced this before. Not in my lifetime anyway. I'm only 52, but this is new.
This is new. This is really completely uncharted territory on so many respects. Just COVID-19 alone. Something like this wouldn't have even been possible a couple of generations ago. It took international travel.
Yes.
To be able to get a spread like this all around the world so quickly. And the way that we're all connected in the global chains of supply and all of the rest of that, the impact of the shutdowns and all of that. This is a place we've never been here before.
Yeah.
And I still know that God is God. You know, I still know that everything is purposeful and it's meaningful. We know we needed a shift. We've been praying for a shift. We knew something had to disrupt this non-sustainable, consumeristic, materialistic, overconsumption and a lot of the ways in which we were being. Something needed to shift. We needed the wake-up call. And it just amazes me how many people have just figured out that there's racism in America. Like, wow.
Yeah. Really?
And,
yes.
And all the powers that be that are determined to keep that under wrap, and to deny that. It's all happening at once. I'm a Bible instructor at a couple of seminaries, and it reminds me of that moment when Jesus is riding into Jerusalem.
We're frozen again. This is a good time to take a deep breath. Okay. Last thing we heard was you said when Jesus was riding into Jerusalem. Then
he's riding into Jerusalem, his last days. He knows he's going to get arrested. He knows the deal, and he's committing his civil disobedience. He's making his stance about the way things ought to be.
Yes.
And as he's coming in, there are people who are praising him and laying down palms, from hence which we get Palm Sunday, to make a path for him on his little donkey. And there are ways in which other people are shouting, crucify him and all of the rest of that. But the part of the story that I think is the most relevant here, from a metaphoric standpoint, is that during these times of the high holy days in Jerusalem, around the Passover, you had the Jews coming in from all over the place. And if there was ever going to be an insurrection against the ruling elite, the Romans, it would have been at that time. So they would come into town through the west gates with their chariots and on their armor and whatnot, and basically intimidate the crowds. It was basically their riot squad, in their big chariots to preempt anything. To preempt. But in the meantime, Jesus is coming on the other side of town, the east gate. The west always represents, in metaphysical Bible interpretation, the intellect, the rational. The east is the intuitive, spiritual inner realm. Jesus is coming in on the east side on a little donkey. No armor, no army, just and a borrowed donkey at that.
He's riding Uber. Yeah, it's Uber.
and but check this out. There's nobody for the Romans to intimidate because everybody's at the east gate. They aren't even at the west gate. They're at the east gate. where Jesus is coming in.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like we're in this kind of moment right now. Like, you can stand over there at the west gate and get all intimidated by the Roman chariots and whatnot that are coming, or You can go over to the East Gate and salute the Christ consciousness that's rolling into town to say, hey, there's another way, without all the armor, without all the drama, just pure consciousness. And you get to decide right now whether you're going to be on the West Gate or the East Gate.
That's the choice. Welcome, Candice, New Jace, aka Jackie, Linda Grace. Thank you all for being here. So, yeah, okay. So I go this. I always have like questions bubbling up. So the conversation today is around rising up. Actually, you know what, Rev D, can you move more a little bit to your right, so that way you could be more centered? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, must be. Yeah. So it's around rising up, showing up, and then but I'm just gonna say like that, reimagining. And as I've been thinking about the show, it's like it takes an understanding of our power to rise up. It takes an understanding of who we are to be able to show up and then reimagine, having another vision, as you were saying, what you're doing. And I think it's a good idea to talk about power. And I want to say this real quick. I'm part of an organization, and something happened that showed me how though we talk about power, it seems like we have a more negative perspective of what power is. So someone in authority is leading, and we have all these things to say about the person, whether what they're doing is right or wrong. We have somebody to project our own stuff onto, but then we may not be quick to want to step into that place of power and being in authority. But it seems to me that there is a sort of misconception about the power that we have, especially even in time like this. Because one minute we're talking about condemning white supremacy, next minute we're talking about COVID-19, and next minute we're talking about this. If we're not anchored in the power, we don't have time to vision, to reimagine, to focus on what is important to us. So I would like you to talk about power, and with the faith and trust and understanding that it will shift. Definitely, I want to shift. And the listeners can start to look at power differently so that we can stand up and show up.
Yes. So I'm going to come at it from two different angles. There's a very famous social anthropologist, Riane Eisler. She's an attorney and she's a Holocaust survivor. She's up in her 90s now, probably. Lives not too far from here. Her name is Riane Eisler. We've had her here. She's brilliant. And one of her seminal works came out when I was in college called The Chalice and the Blade. And she was talking about societies and how it really wasn't so much about matriarchy or patriarchy as it was that some societies were dominating societies and some were partnering societies. And it's called The Chalice and the Blade because it's around this thing of power. She said that from a sociological, anthropological standpoint, power used to be associated with that which was life-giving and life-affirming. And when dominating culture started taking over, power started getting associated with destruction. So power meant how much harm you could do as opposed to how much good and creativity that you could do. So that even now, when we want to say that something's powerful, we use destruction as a metaphor. You just mentioned that when you talked about my spoken word piece, Unity, and how somebody took the liberty to make graphics for it. And at the peak moment, when I'm just saying that our true power is in our unity, they show a picture of the atomic bomb going off. The complete antithesis of unity, but yet that's their image of power. So that's the first thing that I want to say, is that we have to reclaim power,
yes,
as something that's positive. We say, well, I don't want that person to have too much power in my life, or why are you giving them so much power? Rarely do we mean anything good.
Right.
Okay, so that's one.
Yes.
Two, I want to go biblical on you again.
All right, let's do it.
Because one of my most favorite words in scripture is the Greek word. The New Testament was written in Greek, is the Greek word dunamis. Dunamis, which means power. And it's quite clear that this power is not a power over. It's capacity. Just let that sink in, everybody, for a moment. It's pure agency. It's the ability to do. Not anything even in particular. And in 2 Timothy, Paul is telling Timothy distinctly that we have not been given a spirit. The spirit is like your essence. It's the truth of who you are. And he says, we have not been given the spirit of fear, of timidity and cowardice. That's not who we are. We have been given the spirit of dunamis, of power, and of love, the agapeo love, the unconditional love, the oneness choice love, the connectedness with all things love. That's our spirit. And the spirit of a sound mind, it says in the King James Version, which is really self-discipline. We have not been given the spirit, like who we are as a living, breathing essence is not fear and cowardice. That who we are is pure capacity, one and connected with everything, with discipline, with control over our power to use it in the name of love. That's who we are. That's not something we've got to strive for. That's who we are. And that's the place that you're talking about where we have to be anchored. It's very similar to when I tell people that you're not a noun, you're a verb. You're a verb. We are activity. The universe is happening as us, through us, as us, not just to us or at us. And until you reshift that relationship in your mind, because you are governed by the laws of your identity, whatever you think is possible for that identity, that becomes the box in which you live.
Yeah. Let's let that marinate. It is fair to say, to cultivate that capacity, that the spirit within, it is important to withdraw from the distractions, from the things that's going on in news. And you know, over the years for myself, there are times I'm watching what's going on, and well, actually, I think I've gone back to watching, but not as much. But what I found is the more I pull away. I look at what's going on. I don't get caught up in the breaking news on the same topic for the next 24 hours, to kind of then ask myself, how do I want to be? How do I want to show up? I found that to help me in being anchored in that power. I want you to speak to, or asking you to speak on the role, the importance of silence and stillness to harness that power, because sometimes we feel we have to be in action.
You know, once again in scripture, it says, be not conformed to this age, to this time, to this worldly stuff, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. See, so it isn't so much that we're in it, because we're in the world, but we're not of it. We're not from it. The problem isn't so much that we're in it, it's when we conform to it. You know, you can inform, you take it in, you can conform, you can go with it. You can reform, which is to just kind of do it like a little differently, or you can transform, which is to go above and beyond it, to transcend it. So what you're speaking of is the renewing of the mind. Any spiritual leader, dead, alive, or otherwise, any good social justice activist, anybody that's been any kind of transformational agent knows there has to be a balance.
Yeah.
That you have to tap into that inner well. And I don't care what it is. It could be a boxing match. At some point, you got to get out the ring and just sit in your corner.
Gotta sit you down.
You know, you can't duke it out the whole time.
That's true.
You gotta go to your and in your ring, in your little side in the ring, they're giving you water and you know they're tending to you and taking care of you, like even in a boxing match. So you know, all of us have to go to your corner.
Yeah. Now, for your own good.
Go to your corner where your little team is there, nurturing you, taking care of you, because you need to refill. You need to get in that spot. In the Hebrew text, in the Psalms, it tells us to be still and know that I am God. But this know is not a cognitive awareness no. It's not like a reading no or an intellectual no. Like I know there's New York. There's a New York. This is a relational no. In fact, this word no is also used for the word sexual intercourse. That kind of, he knew her in a biblical way. There's an intimacy there. It's relational. I want you to really feel that. It's saying, be still and have a relationship with me. Be still and consummate with me. There's things that we can birth together. But you have to develop a relationship with the divine.
Yes.
Not necessarily as something like way outside of yourself, but to so in tune that it's a part of yourself. So in the inner, so in the outer. It's like, is God out there? Is God in here? It's like fallacious. The reason why we have air in our lungs is because we're walking around in air.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why God is within, because in God we are living and moving and having a being.
Mm-hmm.
So what winds up happening is that we get distracted. The world becomes too much with us. And here's what I want people to know, is that that's not just a fault on your part. It is a strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking particularly now to those in the United States.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Buffoonery
Mm-hmm.
and distractions and constant onslaught of the unthinkables are specifically designed to wear you out, to make you become to desensitize you so that you become apathetic. It's designed to make you feel small and weary, and to convince you you have no dunamis. To convince you that you have no power. To put you in so much fear and intimidation that you lose all of it. You don't think you have any dunamis. You don't feel connected to agapeo love, and you lose all your self-discipline, your sound mind, because you're busy running around chasing after all that stuff. You're busy at the West Gate.
Right.
Getting your mind blown by all them chariots coming through. Hold on. You got to dig deep. You have to give yourself permission to see clearly, to rise above, to step aside. I don't know what it's going to take for you. But what I do know is that everybody has something. Everybody has something that you do that when you do it, you're so lost in it, it feels like time stands still.
Yes.
Some of you, it may be dancing. For some, it's singing. For some, it's gardening. For some, it's running. For some, it's caring for the children. I mean, it could be almost anything. And you know what's interesting to me is when people come to me and they talk about how frustrated they're feeling and what, and I ask them, well, you know, what is that thing that brings you joy? Oh, well, you know, I love walking and, you know, catching the sunset. Well, have you been doing that lately? No. Well, you know, I like to paint, you know, or I like to sculpt, or I do whatever. I build Legos. I don't care. I needlepoint. You know, it could be anything.
Anything.
Have you been doing that? No. Whatever you do, double down. Whatever you do right now, do that twice as much as you otherwise would do it.
Yes.
Put your own mask on first.
On a
There's
technical
image, can I just say this? There's an image that comes to me about the body and its immune system. That when your physical immune system is low, you are susceptible to other people's germs. That's what susceptible means. You're likely to catch what they got. And when your immune system is low, if you walk in the room and everybody's got a cold, you're likely to catch it. If your immune system is higher, you can walk right on through. But you don't wait till you're sick to work on your immune system. You work on your immune system the whole time.
Yes.
And you need different things. You need rest. You need sleep. You need food, nourishment. You need exercise, activity. You need to be of service. Give of yourself. You need all of these things, and they can't substitute. So you can't substitute eating for sleeping or sleeping for exercise. That's why this thing that you talk about, the stillness, it's part of the spiritual immune regime, your regimen.
Yes.
And you can't substitute rest with activity.
Mm-mm.
That's just like you can't do it in a physical body, you can't do it spiritually. Mm. And when your spiritual immune system is low, just like when your physical immune system is low, you're more susceptible to everybody's consciousness. Because thoughts are communicable. Thoughts are like viruses. They're like out there. And if you're not geared up with the strong spiritual immune system, you're susceptible to secondhand consciousness.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you want to stay strong in who you are, so you're not vulnerable to all that other stuff that's going on.
Mm-hmm. That's the work. Raising our vibration enough to melt the ice rather than complain about the ice. It's just so hot that when ice comes around you, it has no choice but to melt. Hey, it disappears. If you need that visual. Rev D, on a technical note, is okay, now that I'm talking about the image, it's clearing up. But it was cleared at the beginning, but it's for a while now, it's kind of just stay fuzzy. I don't know if it's a connection or if someone is, maybe there's few people on the internet that also affects it.
I don't know, because I'm actually on an Ethernet connection.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm on an Ethernet. Okay. So it should be clear. I can try the Wi-Fi and see if that's any different.
I would suggest stay on the Ethernet. That's usually better. The one thing that I might say is, because I'm looking at it, and maybe, yeah, if you want to disconnect and reconnect, hopefully that should change it, because it's been kind of fuggy for a long time.
Okay. I hope that I don't lose you.
Well, if you do, you can click the link again and just come back.
Okay.
And I got a gift of the gab. I'll fill in the blanks. Yes, we got to raise our vibration. Yeah, she's dropping gems, that's for sure. We got to raise our vibration so we can align with the vision of what we want to see. So we can align with what we know is possible. And we all know what we want to see. Oh, good. Yeah, that's a good idea, India. I just love having you, man. You just be like right on it. I know, right? Sorry, I underestimated you. Of course, you got it going on. Some technical thing that she did. Y'all don't even know, but I do. We got to raise our vibration to match the vision of what we say we want in life. I won't say it's not easy, but if you want something different, it is your only choice. We can say it's not easy, but if you want something different, you have to be different. When Rev D comes back, I got a question I want to ask. I heard it and I'm going to share it. And I think sometimes rather than really, yeah, that's much better. Much better. Magic.
I got off the Ethernet. And when I was trying to get on the Ethernet, it said I didn't have any internet. So no idea. But now I'm Wi-Fi.
Okay, good. Now we can see.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
Done that earlier.
I didn't want to interrupt the flow. I was like, ooh, like that stream of consciousness was streaming down. I'm like, well, people can hear it. That's good enough for now. So, Rev D, we're talking, I suggested let's talk about rising up, showing up, and reimagining. And they sort of go hand in hand. And we were talking as well that it's important to understand our own power. Now, we're particularly in America, but the influence of America is global.
Oh yeah, baby.
So everybody's paying attention, and there's so many reasons why that is, but we won't go into that. So there is a sort of looking forward. The election is happening in a month from now. So there are people saying we got to do everything we need to do to make sure Trump doesn't win. There are some people saying we got to do everything we want. We got to do everything in our power to make sure Biden doesn't win. So I'm going to talk from my experience. There are a lot of things that Trump does that I'm just not happy with. He has been a great spiritual teacher to be able to love him in spite of his BS. So I'm going to come from my perspective. When we're talking about power and remembering that we have the capacity to transform, to bring about change, to focus on God, if you will. Let's just say Trump wins again. How do we use what you're sharing with us about our power and rising up and showing up and reimagining, having a vision for a greater future? How do we just can say, oh, it's all over? How do we use all of this and apply it even if Trump wins?
I would reframe this a little bit.
Okay.
What you're talking about that we need to do, that we just need to do.
Now.
But it doesn't matter who wins. In we don't get a free pass if the other person wins. The work that you're talking about doing is the work that we have to do. Contrary to popular belief, what's on the ballot right now are not two men.
True. So true.
That's not what's on the ballot. What's on the ballot right now is democracy or not. That's what's on the, we are on the ballot. We are at a pivot crossroads.
Yes.
We're at a pivot. And we get to choose which direction we're going to go. Nothing lasts forever. So those men are like proxies. You know, on a screen when you have a little icon, it can be a little turtle
on a computer. Yeah. Oh,
you know, you don't really want a turtle, but the turtle represents a whole bunch of other stuff that you do want. So you click the turtle
to have all these images and videos and stuff. Yes.
Yeah, to get whatever the stuff that comes with that turtle. It ain't about the turtle. So the United States is such a huge player in the world.
Yes.
So when we pull out of the Paris Climate Agreement, when we stop defunding the World Health Organization in the middle of a global pandemic, you know, when we ramp up the nuclear war machine, you know, when we do these things, it ripples throughout the entire world. Everybody else, nobody else can vote unless you're a U.S. citizen. So people around the world are giving us their proxy. It's a global vote.
Wow.
We might as well be the equivalent of the Electoral College. All of us collectively for the world.
Right.
And they're saying, you know, do the right thing. democracy is at stake. So this visioning that you're talking about, it's what we need to be doing, period. The reason why we're here is because we slacked off. Mm-hmm. That was Obama's thing that frustrated him so much. Because people slacked off. They left him in the cold. They didn't show up in the midterms to make sure that he had a Senate that would support him. You know, it's like, oh, we got a black man in office. We can just kick back.
Yeah.
No, that is not how it is. There's a piece that I'm about to come out with. I was going to do it earlier. And then when Trump came down with COVID, I thought, oh, maybe I need to wait a minute. I was about to do it right after that fiasco of a debate. And the analogy that came to my head was my mother. My mother is 95. She's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Nice Southern lady. And as a child, when we would go out, like to the store or something like that, every now and then she'd say, now don't you embarrass me in public. And I'm not exactly sure I knew where public was. But I knew there was this line. Mm-hmm. And I was not to cross.
That's right.
This line. Mm-hmm. And what I gathered was that there was some place that when this line got crossed, it wasn't about me anymore. It was about her. Where my behavior was a reflection on her parenting and her motherhood. And I wasn't going to cast dispersion on that.
Right. Don't you dare.
What we witnessed in that debate was like my mama in the grocery store. We got embarrassed in public.
Yes, big time.
And there comes a point in time when it ain't even about the candidates. Mm-hmm. It's about us as the parents. We are the custodians. These people work for us. We elect them. We are the stewards. We are the ones that have to be held accountable for what they do. We got to step it up. We're the ones on the ballot. Like in that grocery store. Not saying I'd ever do it, but if I was on the floor throwing a temper tantrum, I wouldn't make it to the floor.
You get snatched so quick. You'd be like, did I hit the floor or did I get snatched? I really don't even have an idea. I feel pain in my body. I don't know where it's coming from. And it's not stopping.
I'd have never made it to the floor. But if I was on the floor throwing a temper tantrum, everybody watching that might have some kind of opinion about me, but they gonna be looking at my mama. Handle that. You need to handle your business. And that's what's going on now. The whole world is looking at us like, handle your business. Handle your business, America. Trump ain't on the ballot. Biden ain't on the ballot. Baby, we're on the ballot right now. And I'd like to correct just one slight thing about this election coming up. We're in it. We're in it. It is an election season. I think like 11 states are already voting. We're in it now. Please don't wait till November 3rd to vote. Please don't wait till then. Vote. Vote now. And know what you're voting for is deep. That little icon. It's not about Biden. Do you want clean air? Do you want civil liberties? Do you want justice? Do you want decent immigration reform? Do you want health care? It's like, if you want separation of powers so that we don't have a corrupted system with no checks and balances, do you want some underpinnings again in our democracy? Do you want, when Obama was in office, nobody got indicted.
Right.
Now it's like every day.
Right. Next.
Do you want some variety? So this administration has appointed over 300 conservative judges. I think in 3 years, they have appointed more judges than Obama did in 8. Here's the kicker. 82% of them are white. In America, 75% males. 75% of these conservative judges are white men.
I actually thought none of them, when you say 82% are white, are you saying there's some black people? Because I heard there's none. It's just all of them are all white. That's what I heard.
I don't think any of them are black. I think there's like some Indian, some couple of Asian, probably born here.
Right.
And I'm not saying that there aren't any black. There could be, there could be like a Cameron kind of character, or another Clarence Thomas kind of person.
Right.
Shoot, for all I know, he could have put Kanye West got him on the ballot.
Right.
But my point is that what you want? Is that what you want? Because the stakes are high in all of this. What do you want? What is that vision that you want to see? Are you talking about vision, or are you just talking about blah, blah, blah? You know what? If Trump wins. But you know what? People aren't going to roll over. We are seeing now all of the resistance taking place. True patriots who are going to go up against it. I've been reading all kind of articles about postal workers that are just not obeying, these new orders to slow down the ballots and to dismantle, like the mechanics are not dismantling the sorting machines. They're just not doing it. I have the utmost faith in human nature. It may be a bumpy ride, and I'm not wishing anybody ill, but life is funny, and God will not be mocked. You don't know what's going to happen. or how it's going to happen. I just know that we are on the death throes. We are hospicing out old authoritarian imperialistic ideas. It's over. It's over. It's over.
Yeah.
And it's a generational thing too. That we aren't likely to have anybody like in their 30s or 40s coming up in the political ranks that are such big isolationists. You know, it's the enabling. To me, that's the most disturbing. Watching reasonable people let unreasonable things happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
To protect their own power positions.
Yes.
That to me
yeah,
is what's so sad. And I'm actually comforted by the rise in the traditional Republican Party. I'm actually comforted by the number of security advisors, politicians, John McCain's wife, Cindy McCain. Oh my God. You know, where people are choosing decency above partisanship. You don't have to be, you know, John McCain and Joe Biden worked across the aisle together for, you know, for years. You don't have to be hostile. Judge Ruth, Scalia, they were always on opposite ends on the Supreme Court. And they were good friends. They'd go to the opera together and do their families together. This notion that you're either for me or against me, and there's got to be war. This is Russian propaganda. This is the way to tear our democracy apart. In my day, it was nuclear warfare. So we would have fallout shelters and we do drop drills under the desk because the bombs were going to fall. It's not going to explode. It's going to implode. The idea now is to just have us at such odds with each other, such mistrust, distrust, that we pull our own selves apart so that the democracy crumbles from within. So I want to be very clear. Please, everybody, hear what I'm saying. It is not just a question of winning. Winning doesn't make a democracy. A democracy is the civility across differences. You can't have a democracy with one party. So if all you want is your party to win, you don't want a democracy. A democracy has to have room for dissension, differing opinions, compromise. Let's talk this thing out. But you can do it because you're all going in the same direction. Ade, I never knew how fragile our democracy was. I always thought that it was this big impenetrable something that they had so locked this thing up airtight that you couldn't make a change hardly. That it was just that solid. I was a political science major doing Watergate at USC, and most of those characters were from USC. I was pre-law at the time. So there was just so much talk about, character and leadership, and like, what does all of that take? And like, Nixon resigned when I was in college, and like, ooh, what does all of this mean? So I really follow politics. I actually read Supreme Court decisions. I actually read them.
Wow.
And get like the nuances and like what's going on here. And they always referred to our nation as an experiment. In my mind, I took that as just pioneering. But experiments have the possibility of failing.
Yes.
And maybe not working. I never thought that was possible. What I know now, and what I've seen this year in particular, 2020, is that democracy is just a game. It's just a construct. Like race or anything, it's just a construct. And it only works if everybody's playing by the rules.
Yeah.
So right now, in the NBA finals, my hometown, the Lakers, are playing the Miami Heat. Classic rivalry. They've done this numerous times. But they respect each other as players.
Right.
They're not trying to hurt each other or harm each other. And no matter who wins, they're looking forward to coming back and like doing it again another time. But if they didn't obey the referees, if they were committing flagrant fouls all the time, if they were taking more shots than what they, deserved to take, if they didn't get off the court when the buzzer rang, if you do all those things, you know what? You don't have the game anymore. And I used to, when they would say, it's the rule of law, and all during the impeachment, nobody's above the law. But you know what? That assumes that the law is solid. The issue here isn't nobody is above the law. The issue here is, are we going to affirm the rules and keep the game going? Or are we going to throw out the rule book and have a free-for-all and not have the game anymore?
Right.
That's what I mean when I say democracy is on the line. Without the rules, you don't have the game.
Right.
Without the rules, you don't have a democracy. Doesn't matter who wins.
Right.
We still have to keep fighting for the democracy.
That's it. Hence the reason to have a vision.
Yes.
We've been pushed by pain, and now we need to surrender to a higher vision.
Yes.
And speaking of a higher vision, I want to mix different things here, because I know you can blend it together even more deeper and squeeze out the juice. So this idea of spirituality and politics, and being spiritual and being a good person. There are some who feel like, when you're spiritual, you don't have to get involved. You could just know that it would all work itself out. And I think that's part, from that's a grounding principle. However, we're in the physical body. There's some actions that need to be taken, and it's different from everybody. But I find that sometimes there are, in my conversation, that people think being spiritual means you don't get involved. I'm a good person and they're bad people, but I don't want to attract their energy to me, so I'm not going to get involved. I'm spiritual. I don't deal with politics. And I had an experience where I did a Facebook Live once, and there was a lot of conversation. After the Facebook Live, this white lady came, and basically there was no other way I could describe her. She's a racist. I bet she believes in Trump. And when I went to her page, it was that. However, she's always on my post. When I post something about daily thought, she's liking it. She's affirming it. And for me, I'm just like, wait. What is true here? So one of the things that I'm having to really integrate is, well, no, I won't say it that way. You can have, I'll say it in a nice way. You can have a different way of viewing politics and still be spiritual. You can really say things that I would judge, but still, I don't know, align with spiritual principles. Now, there's a little bit more to it than that, but I'm just saying that really what I want to get to is what we're seeing, what we see, there's more to it. How do we blend this being nonviolent, being spiritual, being kind and compassionate in a time where I believe we're called to take some kind of action, whether that's prayer? How do we blend that all together so we have a country, a world, a community, a school system that represents the consciousness of oneness?
You know what I find ironic?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the people that you just were describing about they can't blend it and blah, blah, blah. Those are liberals.
Mm-hmm.
Those are progressive people.
Yes.
Conservatives are 180 degrees on the other end. They are
what they believe in.
They are because of my religion. I must get involved in these politics. They're saying all over the place. There's this alliance that Trump has made with evangelicals. You support me, and I'll give you anything that you want. So they'll tell you over and over again, they don't like him. They don't think he's representative of like a good Christian. But they vote for him because he's going to support their religious beliefs. He's going to stack the courts with their religious beliefs. He's going to grant them the immunities that they want, like all the things that they want. They are politically voting for the person who's going to advance their religious beliefs. Then you've got these progressives, on the other hand, talking about my spirituality won't even let me get involved in politics. And it's like, what the?
You talking about?
It's like, it's crazy making. Where you've got one side that is determined to institutionalize their religious beliefs at every level of society. My religious belief has to dictate whether you can get married. My religious belief has to dictate whether you can have an abortion. My religious belief dictates whether, there's going to be a prayer, or not, or what holidays are celebrated. My religious belief is going to dictate who gets to come in this country or not. So you've got this one side that's busy trying to institutionalize their religious beliefs all over you.
Yeah.
And you won't even stand up for yours. They standing all on top of yours
On your neck.
You can't breathe.
Yes.
And you're ceding the whole thing over to them.
Mm.
It's ludicrous.
Crazy.
It's just ludicrous. You are giving them your proxy. You're saying your religious belief means more than mine. Let me tell you something. You can separate church and state, but you can never separate spirituality and politics, ever.
That's right.
Because every politic is based upon a spiritual belief about what's right, what's wrong, what's the natural order of things, who's supposed to be in control, blah, blah, blah. You take our most fundamental document, pre-Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, even before the Declaration of Independence, the preamble to the opening words to the document that sets the stage for why we can have a country and then why we need a constitution for that country. The opening. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal and endowed by their creator. Come on now. That is a spiritual manifesto. I don't care what they really believed or didn't believe, or whether they held slaves or didn't hold slaves. I'm talking about that construct. Is a spiritual construct that says I have a right to turn on my country and start a new one that works better for me because God gave me the right. And it is irrefutable. It is just self-evident. And you can't even take this right away from me because it is inalienable. That's where your politic has to be.
Yes.
I don't even know why they called it a civil rights movement. It was a spiritual rights movement. It was a movement that said we are all equal under the eyes of God. And because we're equal under the eyes of God, discrimination cannot be justified. The laws don't make you equal. The laws affirm your pre-existing equality under the eyes of God. You got to show up equal. This is where your dunamis comes in. See, this is where your agency comes in. This is where your capacity comes in. You don't show up to the party scrambling and begging and pleading and beseeching for somebody to give you something. You show up with your agency. You show up with your power. You show up who you are as a child of God and then demand that the laws get into alignment with that and represent you. That's what's at stake here now.
Yes.
We've got to show up and demand that our government represent we, the people. Of the people, by the people, for the people. Now, mind you, I recognize that the Supreme Court in the Dred Scott decision said that nobody of African descent was ever going to be included in the we, the people. I know that. I know that the same Bible and Christianity that freed us is the same Bible and Christianity that put us into slavery. I know that. I ain't no dummy. But you keep having a vision of a brighter day, and that's where everybody loved Judge Ruth Gingrich so much. It's because she kept expanding the we the people. She kept expanding who's in that we. Can you do that? Everybody listening to me, who's in your we? Is your we just the blue folk? Who's in your we? Who's in your we? The problem here isn't like, will we please stand is that we've got to imagine something that wasn't imagined.
Yes.
I don't care about our founding fathers. They weren't thinking about me.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And I know this isn't ministerial, but this is how I feel right now. They weren't thinking about my black female lesbian ass.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking about me.
That's right.
And we're thinking about us. And we can change this thing with enough vision. I'm telling you what I know. I already have 2 cases setting precedent in civil rights law in California. The unthinkable, where sexual orientation was included in the state civil rights bill. Unthinkable.
Right.
Because I dared to imagine it. Anything that you imagine of will come to be. It's just supply and demand, baby. We keep worrying about the supply. Up the demand. Up the demand. Up the demand for justice. The demand for oneness. The demand for integrity and for character. For sustainability. For wholeness. For health. For care. For life. For peace. Up the demand. Where no is not an answer. I don't care who's in office. What do you think my ancestors did in the slave fields? When they couldn't even vote.
Right.
They didn't throw in the towel. They kept dreaming me.
Yes.
They kept imagining. You may not eat the fruit from the seeds that you plant, but plant them anyway, because you're eating somebody else's fruit. We eating Martin Luther King's fruit, and Rosa Parks' fruit, and Gandhi's fruit. Who knows? 40, 50 years from now, somebody will eat our fruit. Are you planting some trees? Dare to dream. Dare to dream. It's the only thing you control. This is the only thing you control. You can't control nothing. Your experience isn't what happens. It's how you name what happens. It's how you say what it was.
Yes.
You know what Nelson Mandela did? When they locked him up for life, and he did 27 years of that life, splitting them rocks on Robben's Island. Up here, they wrote the new South African Constitution in prison. It was already written. In prison. When they had no idea they'd ever be out.
They were planting the seed. I'll be a fool to ask you another question.
Well, I know it's I know it's near closing time, and I know I ended with a wallop there, but I ain't playing.
No, you ended exactly where you need to end it.
I ain't playing.
Yes,
this is no joke.
Play.
This is not when I was growing up, I said, the bombs and all that stuff. So they used to have the emergency broadcast system. They would test it all the time. They tested at night. Television would go off. Beep. and the sirens and the this and that. And that, this is only a test. This is only a test. This is a test of the emergency broadcast system. Don't worry. This is only a test. This is not a test.
Absolutely not.
The alarms are ringing.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. You can't sit this one out. You cannot sit this one out. Grab your mama, your grandmama, your baby sister, your aunties, your uncles, your
what about
cousins,
baby daddies?
Everybody.
Drag them. Yes.
Check to see if you're registered.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're doing all kind of stuff, knocking people off the rolls. Check now. You cannot sit this one out. And I am particularly talking to the young people now. Those of you who have never voted before, who are looking at this stuff and saying, these are just a bunch of clowns. I don't care about that. You have to show up at the polls. To not vote is to vote. To not vote is to give your proxy to the loudest voices. To not vote is to let other people vote for you. If you don't vote, you are letting the status quo be. The only way there can be change is you got to vote for it. If you don't vote, you're saying, I'm fine with everything the way that it is. If you don't vote, you're saying, I'm cool. My life is good. I don't have to rock any boats. If you don't vote, you are saying, my life doesn't matter. My voice doesn't matter. What happens to me doesn't matter. Y'all got it. You just do anything you want to with me. I'll just live by whatever you decide for me. For us, no, baby. You got dunamis. And your vote, politically speaking, is the way that you exercise dunamis in a democracy. Your vote is your dunamis. Democracy gave you a spirit of dunamis, of power, capacity. Use it. Use it or lose it, baby.
That's right. That's right.
I thank everybody. I know I've been hollering and preaching at you.
Please, FD, don't even apologize.
Let it simmer.
Yes.
Saute. Sink in there someplace. Because the next time you see me is election day.
And yeah, exactly. You're here on election day.
It's right. Election day in America. And I truly hope that all of you will have voted before we're on this show. Okay? All right.
Thank you, FD. I love you.
Peace out.
Peace and blessings. Reverend Deborah L Johnson. You can find out more about her by going to her website. Rev D, before you go, what are you up to? What are you doing? What's a good place for people to find out? Because you're doing a lot. So to even ask you what you're doing, it's like go turning on the TV and say, what's on TV today? There's so many things.
Yes.
So the best way for people to.
So the best way, check me out on Facebook. They're updating my website right now. I've got some great classes and workshops that are coming up about my spirit letters as applied to political issues, things about like race relations and where we are standing within all of this. But one of the things that I'm going to be launching literally within a couple of days is a new social media campaign called #VisionsIgniting, where I'm going to be asking all of you, just share your visions, like 60-second selfies, spreading them around on your Instagrams and some Zoom meetings where we come together and we're doing what we're doing now, just talking about our visions for everything from education to immigration and healthcare and elections, and just lifting that vibration, spending these next 30 days lifting the vibration where we change the conversation to what we do want and not just what we don't want. And I'm going to invite everybody to help spread that campaign as far as you can go. And it's going to launch within 48 hours.
Ashley, if you're listening, just let me know. You know, I'm going to spread it.
Yeah.
I'm going to spread it. And we have to let the vision that we want inspire, guide our every action on a day-to-day basis.
Yes.
Oh, we don't.
Indeed.
Without vision, you perish.
There you go.
You know, Rev D, of course, you know this. I can talk to you all day. I have bunches of other conversations, but it's like, it's like I can hear spirit like, don't mess with it. It is perfect. Leave it alone. Let it be. I love you, Rev D.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
See you next month.
Every good preacher knows when the amen is. This was amen.
Yes. Well, I ain't a preacher, so I'm going to go on a little bit more. That's why I resist that path. I try going down there, but it's like, I don't know. Maybe I yanked myself off the path, or I don't know. But anyway, thank you, Rev D.
Amen.
Oh, boy. Much doesn't need to be said. It's all been said. But I would say that, my spiritual folks, if your spirituality has made you into a wimp, you may want to check yourself, because you just might wreck yourself. To connect with your spiritual energy is a soul force. It inspires action. And don't get it twisted. Rev D shared this, but it's not just about the elections in America. The whole world is going through a globalization, I guess. But I was going to say global transformation. There's Claudia saying they had election in Italy and what it was like. There are things happen in Belarus. There are things happen here with the Brexit and the EU trying to sue UK. There's so many. We are all being called to rise up. And if your spirituality or whatever you believe is not moving you in the direction of what your heart desires, particularly about oneness and being able to honor people's humanity, including yourself, I don't know what to say. You go figure it out. Anyway, say hello, my dear sister. Zimmer is in the house. Zimmer, who's got the keys to my Beamer? Jackie is on YouTube. That's right. The only way they can be changed is you've got to vote for it. You got to vote for change. You got to vote for the change you want in your life. You got to vote for yourself. You got to vote for the love you want, you desire. You got to vote for the financial freedom. You got to vote. You got to show up. You got to represent what you know to be true. Linda Grace, thank you for being here. Thank you for setting the alarm. Claudia, Quali, Monique, who else? There's another name to start with a C. Candace. Candace. Love, Carly, and all the other people listening in the background. I call you silent listeners. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I invite you to take what you heard, if it's just one thing, and commit to demonstrating that today. Apply it today, then try it tomorrow and the day after until you integrate it. It becomes a way of life. And if there's something that you heard that you tried and it didn't work for you, then get quiet, get still, and ask, what do I need to know? We have access to it all. Steph, you made it here towards the end, or you just chatting? I know Candice called you earlier. If you missed the beginning, you need to go to watch the beginning, because got to tie yourself down. Anyway, like I said, I ain't a preacher. I don't know when to say amen, but maybe I am. I'll say it now. I love you, love you, love you, love you. I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you. And I thank God for you. India, thank you very much. Dare to dream. That's right. Thank you, New Jay Zimmer, everybody who joined on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook. My prayer, my intention, my affirmation for you, that you give yourself permission to move in the direction of what makes your soul sing, what makes your heart sing, that you have the courage of the community to do it, to support you in doing it. This is the time. Right now is ripe to create whatever you want to create. Right now is so ripe. It's so ripe. You can plant the seed of things that you've dreamt of. Dare to dream. That's right. All right. Woo, I feel like running around and shouting. I love you. Once again, I bless you. I appreciate you. And I thank you. Thank God for you. And I invite you to take this consciousness and multiply it. Join me on Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. UK for Ade Presents The Heart of the Matter. That's right, my dear sister. I feel it too, man. I feel it. That's why I'm trying to let it go. For the Heart of the Matter on Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. UK. And you can join, you can request to be on the hot seat of transformation. So you can, if there's something that you're dealing with, or you're feeling stuck, you want to fine tune your focus. You want to figure out, identify the vision for your life. Send me an email. You can do it through Facebook, the Being You podcast Facebook page. You can go to my website. If you use lifecoachade.com or adelove.co, adelove.co, not .com, .co. That will get you to the same place. Send me an email. You have an hour with me and we get to grow through it together. And as you show up on this hot seat of transformation, you help other people see themselves in a new way. We're in this together. We're in this together. We are part of the human body called humanity. All right, let's release this conversation with John Stringer as we always do, most of the time. Yeah. Let me just play the song. Yeah, it's been said, and I'm full. Peace and blessings.
There is a space in my heart where I find the truth. I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah, there is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. I see with new eyes, allow and unfold, embrace and let go, trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah, there is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our the light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Breathe in and out. Slowly feel all that's around you. All that you feel, all that you know, let it go. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your